I hope that you can admit where we mess up. We do, but how do I honor those mistakes? By never making them again. I will never make the same mistakes. People will buy from you and learn from you when they feel understood, not when they understand you. What if every single thing in your life was designed for you as a test to see if you really have the grit, the courage, the dedication to be the best version of you? Need motivation? Watch a Top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men all my life. Like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more. And you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Dean Graziosi, and my take on his top 10 rules to success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Honor your mistakes.
I screwed up in my marriage. My ex screwed up. We both screwed up. We admit our faults. We admit where we ignored the wrong things, where we pushed things off so far it was too late by the time we wanted to fix it. With all the good I've done, with all the positivity, I messed up. And I can admit that. And I hope that you can admit where we mess up. We do, but how do I honor those mistakes? By never making them again. I will never make the same mistakes. I give my ex the most respect, love. I'm still her family. She still got my back. I still got hers. We still are gonna make sure the kids are first. And I see another level of life for me and my kids beyond anything I could ever imagine.
Rule number 2, change your story.
I listen to people all the time, and they're always telling me their old story.
Yeah.
You know, they live in their old story, and they don't know it.
They don't know it.
But just the concept of a story overall that we tell ourselves, you speak about that probably more eloquently than anybody that I've heard. So just touch on the whole concept of the cognizance of the story we tell ourselves.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, even with me, like I said, I had to catch myself. I was telling myself a story that maybe I should have stayed with the real estate brand. Maybe success, there's so many people diluting it that haven't had the success, they don't recognize the real thing. Like I had all kinds of stories. I'd look at people like, God, that guy seems like a scammer. Why has he got 3 million followers? Like I started telling myself stuff and I felt bad and I wasn't having the momentum that I know how to create. And then all of a sudden I changed that story and I said, no, I know what I want to do for people. I'm the freaking best at it. There's nobody better than me. Give me a year, I'll be far surpassed it, and then they'll realize they're actually learning from someone who's done it. And nothing changed. God didn't come down, the weather didn't change, my bank account didn't change. Nothing changed except my story. So the part that I want to share is I did an interview with a young kid, Casey Adams.
Love Casey.
Yeah, so Casey asked, so he asked me, great kid, and he said, hey man, at the end, maybe he asked you, he said, you as a young kid, there's a lot of young kids listening, what would be the one thing that you would tell people? And I'd never been asked that, and literally what just came out is that your thoughts lie to you, and to question those thoughts. Because when I look back at what stalled me or almost had me fail, or the people around me, it had nothing to do with who's president, whether you like the president or not, if he's crazy or not, the economy, your family, your friends holding you down, a job that takes too much time. It's never any of that. The only thing standing between you and your next level, a better version of you, not being me, not being Ed, not just a better version of you. The only thing, and you might not believe me right now, but I promise you someday you will. The only thing standing between you and your next level, a better version of you, is the story you tell yourself on why you can't get it. That's it.
So good.
I mean, I think about it. I remember having a real estate deal when I was broke, and it's $1 million deal, and I got $4 in the bank. And I remember saying, I'll never get this money. And I never could. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, no, screw that. I'm getting this money. And I would find it. It didn't matter if I had to beg, borrow, steal, some with the bank, some on credit cards, borrowing from this guy. I'd make the deal happen when nothing else changed. I didn't inherit money. I didn't get smarter. My IQ didn't go up. I didn't have a Harvard education. I just willed it by changing the story. So I guess an easy way for you guys to think about right now, if you talk about where you would love to be, it's a year from now, it's the greatest year of your life, and you'd love to be there. I'd love to be, working on my own company. I'd love to launch my own company. I'd like to have more time with my wife or my husband and my kids. Just say, but and then fill in whatever that but is. That's usually your story. But my boss keeps me too busy, but my wife doesn't support me, but my family thinks I'm crazy, but I'm not that smart, but it takes money to make money. That's your story. That's the thing. That's your anchor you're dragging across the desert. Flip that story, and immediately that becomes the wind behind your sail. I mean, I don't want to oversimplify it, but at this phase of my life, it is oversimplified. And I still run into it. I will catch myself being in a space, worried about something with my kids, worried about anything, and I'm like, why is this bugging me? Why is this? Oh, because I'm telling myself lies. I'm telling myself some stuff. I change it, and then I change in a second.
Rule number 3, don't be satisfied with okay.
I remember in my own life when I started getting success, I was working my guts out. I was working on cars during the day. I was working at real estate at night, and then before I did my first education course, I was doing cars during the day, real estate at night, and setting the alarm at 5 in the morning. From 5 to 9 in the morning, I'd work on trying to figure out how to write a course on how to do what I did in my life and how to be successful. I was so confused. I did all that, and guess what? I did that for years. For years, I'm just being honest, I put in lots and lots of hours. I had fun, I enjoyed myself, I played hard too, but I put in a lot of time. But then when it finally hit and I got a little momentum, do you know, I heard a lot of my friends say, oh, you lucky bastard. In fact, I had a joke for a while. It made me think. I had a joke for a while that when I try something new that's out of the norm, which most people wouldn't try, people either say, oh, Dean got lucky, you lucky bastard, or if I tried and failed, it's like, I knew that idiot wouldn't make it. There's nothing in between. And you know what? Awesome. Screw it. I don't care. I don't dislike my friends who said all that stuff. I'm still friends with them, some of them since 5th grade. But they're going to look through life through a lens of they're satisfied with okay. They're satisfied making okay money. They're satisfied with okay relationship. They're satisfied with being an okay parent. They're satisfied with an okay career that doesn't light them up. Screw that. I'm not satisfied with it. I'd rather fail miserably. If I look back on my deathbed, would you, you too, let me ask you, would you let him look back on your deathbed and be like, hey, you know what? Played it safe, didn't go after anything, but you know, I lived an okay life. That. Excuse my language. I felt like saying it and I said it. And if you have someone younger listen, I'm sorry, I feel bad now. But that's the emotion I feel. And if you're listening to me, if you're listening to my podcast, then you feel the same way.
Rule number 4, understand other people.
People will buy from you and learn from you when they feel understood, not when they understand you. Did you hear that? That's one of the biggest secrets to my success. People will buy from you, do business from you, with you, learn from you when they feel understood, not when they understand you. Most people want to just vomit up all their experience, vomit up on how good they are, vomit up on how great their product is, and you don't even know what the person on the other side is thinking. Think about that with salesmen. Do you like a pushy salesman when you go to buy a car that comes out and says, I've been doing this for 30 years. I got this experience. This little baby'd be perfect for you. It's fast, it's quick, it's a 2-seater, it's this. And he doesn't realize you showed up because you want an SUV because you have 4 kids. Like, wouldn't it have been better if you just walked out and said, hey man, out looking for a car. What's up with your family? What do you got going on? And just listened. People buy from you when they feel understood, when there's a connection. So what's up, man? It's good to see you. I see you all over the place. I see you hustling. I see you impacting lives, doing amazing stuff on YouTube. I want to share whatever works for, your following, my following today. But I want to share, dude, your book, Built to Serve. You are built to serve. There's a difference when, I've been an entrepreneur for over 30 years. I've been in the self-education industry for 24. Doesn't even seem possible. But there's a lot of people that when you kind of meet your heroes or you meet the people behind the book, a habits book, a Built to Serve book, a time management. It's like you meet the guy with the time management book and he's late getting on stage and stressed out of his mind in the green room. Like there's no congruency is what I wanted to say. And before we chat today, I just want to honor you and give you congruency. What you wrote in this book is really who you are, man. You are built to serve. You reach out to my team all the time and want to help with YouTube and tell us what we're doing wrong. And you're not doing it because of finances. You're not doing it because you're trying to get an edge. You're doing it just because this is who you are, man. So I love seeing you out there. I love seeing you grow. I love seeing the impact you're making.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. I'm still working on accepting compliments. So, I'll just say thank you.
Oh, then I'm going to keep doing it through this entire thing to make you feel uncomfortable.
Oh, great. Classic Dean. All right, cool. Well, I also in that story, you've been really helpful in getting that book out. I remember when I came to Puerto Rico and was trying to get feedback on pre-launch, you and Brendan Burchard took time backstage while you're doing your big event. People paid all this money to come there, and you took time over lunch for 40 minutes to do a deep dive on my strategy. And just super grateful that you guys did that. And you hooked me up with your warehouse and, a whole bunch of things that Dean's a big reason why the book has got out there.
Just a little piece, man. Just what's up, everybody? I see the highs. So listen, appreciate everybody. I see all the cool comments coming in. So how can we deliver some value today? How do we help out? Besides, I do got to plug this. Like, if you didn't check out Evan's Built to Serve, you should check it out. The truth is, I'm not all the way done. I freaking love it. My biggest problem is every book I read, Evan, I listen. I have such a hard time reading. I still have dyslexia. It still doesn't stick. So it's taken me longer. But when I actually read a book, it sticks. So highly recommend it. And it's just you. It's like it's having a 200-page conversation with you, which is always cool.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Well, I also have an audiobook version. I read it myself. So there's always.
Oh, dude, please send that to me.
Rule number 5, find your drive.
I just was having this conversation with my girlfriend Lisa on the way here, and we were talking about the things that drive you and the things that want to be. It's funny you say, like, I have so many different emotions at once.
Yeah.
But she comes from an amazing family, just like you said your wife did.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. She has, there's 5 siblings. Their parents are together. They're on a text string every day. They all talk every day. Like, her phone's always blowing up and going off, and it's always inspirational, and they all support each other. One just lost their job, and their whole family's like, we'll all get together, and it's finally time you start your own business anyway, and I'll build the website. I'll give you the money. Like, it's unbelievable what they do, and I love both my parents. My mom and dad are amazing, but I didn't have that. They split at 3. I was 3 when they split, and I lived with mom and then dad and grandma, and they moved, I moved 20 times by the time I was 19, right? So it was all this insecurity. So, but again, that was my journey. It made me the man I am. So for me, one of the things is that I don't have something to refer to be a good dad. My father's father was physically abused all the kids. Some of them were sexually abused. And his father did that. Like, I look at this long lineage of screwed up GRAZIOSI'S, and I knew it was going to stop with me. Like, my sister did it. She's an amazing mother. Actually, my nephew works for me. Incredible kids, like the greatest kid you ever met. She stopped it, and I want to do the same thing. So I'm always in. Like, you and I, when we talk later, we'll probably just talk about being a parent, because I love interviewing and talking to other great parents, because I want to learn, because I don't have a blueprint. Like I said, Lisa, she's got the blueprint. She grew up in it, right? So for me, I want to be a better man, and always want to continue to grow, so I can set an example and change the way my kids see life and experience life. I don't want to raise entitled brats. That's the last thing this world needs. I want them to have hunger and drive and be good people. And one thing I'll share with you, a dear friend of mine, he's about 15 years older than me. He said to me, and he's done extremely well, extremely well. And he said, I think at the end of our lives, when you're on your deathbed, I don't think we'll ask any other question, because you're a parent like me. He says, you're a dad like me. I could see it. Because I think the question we're going to ask ourselves is, did we do everything we could to give our kids the tools to live a fulfilled life? I said, because I don't think anything, you won't say, how many women did I sleep with? How much money did I make? How many buildings did I buy? It'll be like, wow, did I give the kids? And he said, you'll be able to go off to the next place. If you could say, yes, you did your best. He goes, but what if you can't say that?
Jeez.
And for me, it's like, that's all I think about. It's like, that's one of the things. I can't be the perfect, I do everything I can to be a great dad, just like you. But fundamentally, I want to give them the tools to be thriving adults.
Me too.
And that's just one, but that, I could talk about that. I want to go conquer something right now thinking about that.
Rule number 6, pass the test.
When I was working out of that garage, if someone would have come to me and said, hey, just want to let you know, someday you're going to be a multiple New York Times bestselling author. Someday your brands and your company is going to break $1 billion in sales. Someday you're going to be a dad with 2 amazing kids, and you're going to coach Little League, coach softball. Someday you're going to be able to jump on private planes and fly and go to the best fishing resort in the world with your kids for one day to have the time of your life. I'm only referencing that because we did it about 2 weeks ago. I'm not saying that to brag, but that kid, I'm holding up this picture again where you could laugh if you're watching this. That kid, that scared, embarrassed, broke kid, had a vision for more in his life, and he made it. If you would have told me that at that age, I would have said, no way in hell. I hope I can make $1,500 a week someday and not have to struggle and hump it. But that was my journey. What is yours? What if every single thing in your life was designed for you as a test to see if you really have the grit, the courage, the dedication to be the best version of you? And if you pass the test, you get to live the life that you deserve. Not my life, not some silly person you follow on Instagram showing all these pictures and stuff. I'm talking about being the best version of you. There is a next level waiting inside of you. Realize that life is just putting all these things in your place, in your way to test you. Pass the test. Go to the next level. Live the life you deserve.
Rule number 7, cherish the experiences.
It's not the objects, it's the things that we get to experience. So you can't buy your way. I had a lot of pain as a kid, which we all did. And I know I thought for a time in my life that money would fix that. And there's nothing more than the experience. My daughter's on her first trip with me as a business trip. This is worth millions to me. I'd give up all my books to have that. So it's the moments and the experience, not the things.
Rule number 8, face your fears.
The last 2 years, but really last year, I've been going through a divorce. And I've told no one. I haven't shared it publicly. A small group of my family and friends know. And it was the most painstaking thing I've ever experienced in my life. Now, I can go back through the whole thing on why this happened. There's a million reasons. The cool part is my ex, because we signed the divorce papers, that's the first time I ever said my ex. My ex and I are dear friends, not kind of friends, not fake friends. We're true friends, where we're doing a child-centered divorce. The focus is on our kids. You see, I'm going to back up here in a moment and tell you that I haven't shared with you guys, but I went through about a 90-day, every day filled with anxiety, couldn't sleep at night, all because I didn't want to leave my kids. If you guys know me, you watch me, you listen to me, you know my kids are the most important thing in my life. And I love waking up every day. I love having family dinners. I love family meetings on Sundays. I take them to baseball practice, go to baseball games. I'm at every dance recital. I like to be there for homework. I love to cook for them. I love to play with them. I mean, I love working and growing, and I love my kids. And my parents were married and divorced a bunch of times. So the thought of divorce and ripping the family apart ripped my soul apart. It opened up worries and anxieties of things that I tucked down when I was a kid, when my parents split when I was 3, and then married and left, 9 marriages between my 2 parents. I had this inner demon, this inner fear that I tucked down many, many years ago. And when the thought was real, when a year ago I knew that divorce was inevitable, we tried a lot of, I don't want to say we tried, like, oh, we gave it a shot. We went to therapy, we talked, we spent a year seeing if we could make it work, and unfortunately we couldn't. My relationship with my ex is this dear friendship, but telling the kids, leaving the kids, I can't even tell you the feeling I experienced. My empathy, my compassion, my heart goes out for another group of people that have to deal with that. I dealt with it as a kid. Now I was dealing with it as a parent. The reason I'm sharing that is because as much as I think I got my together and I work on my personal growth, I work on success. I feel like in my own head, this is kind of like my own thing. I'm like, I'm a man, I'm a boss. I take care of when stuff goes sideways. I got it. If a building was on fire, you want to be standing next to me because I'll get your ass out. The company's crashing, I'll save your company for you. Anybody in my family has a problem. My parents, I've been supporting my parents since I was in my 20s. My parents have problems emotionally or with friends. I'll take care of it. Friends come to me. I got this. I got you. I love that. I love being the guy. I love being able to serve you. But all of a sudden, I get hit with something and it takes my feet out. I mean, luckily, I went down and spent some time with Tony Robbins, talking to him about it. I'm dear friends with Dr. Daniel Amen. I spent a couple days with him. I mean, I'm so lucky that I have access to great people, but still, it took my legs out. So why am I taking the time to share this with you, to be so vulnerable, to let you in on the deepest part of me? Is because I don't ever want you to think that my life is perfect. I don't want you to think that successful people, everything's just aligned, the clouds open and the sun shines and life is perfect. No, we have to deal with shit. And I'm not saying your shit's worse or better than mine. I just want to be vulnerable to tell you that though it was the scariest thing in my life, hands down, you might have had some traumatic stuff as a kid. I did as well. Some crazy stuff that maybe that'll be for another podcast, with thinking my mom was going to die and father go to jail, like crazy stuff but none of that compared to this thought of leaving my kids. And it was so scary. It was if for me, my internal clock was like I was going to die. That's how I felt. So why do I say that? Because I was so scared of it, and I wanted to run. I wanted to go back. I wanted to just leave it the way it was. I'll stay in an unhappy marriage. Both of us should, so we'll be there for the kids. I wanted to make all these decisions just to leave it the way it is. Like, the pain was so bad, I wanted to put the cork back on the bottle. And the reason I want to share this with you today is because that would have been the worst mistake of my life. I had to face my biggest fear. If you notice, for the last year, I've been talking a lot about your next level of life lives on your biggest obstacle, your biggest stress, your biggest worry. I'm not giving you permission to end a bad relationship or just run in the other direction. But face it. If you have to fix it, take it to another level, get the right capabilities in your business, in your life. If you're worried about your job and if you quit, you'll go broke, face it. Work hard to get the promotion or burn the boats and go start your own thing. I'm just telling you, with all the work that I do, I was an inch away from going backwards. And I thank God for the great friends I have. I thank God for the influences I have, the books I read, the people I know. Most of my information comes from books and trainings that I've purchased myself in areas that I don't feel I'm as strong. But now let me tell you the other side. I'm in a place now where, again, my ex and I are the dearest of friends. Our kids come first. My kids have been told. They know their mom and dad are divorced. My ex got a new house. We got her all set up in there. And we're both thriving. We're on the other side of our biggest obstacle. We're on the other side of our biggest pain, the other side of the anxiety, the other side of the worry. And I want to share this with you because it didn't happen overnight. I couldn't fix it immediately. I was having anxiety and I was trying to talk myself out of it and think myself out of it and keep myself busy, and none of it worked. I had to lean into it. I had to face it. I had to look inside. I had to sit with it. But I've grown, and I'm another version of me.
Rule number 9, use the power of the underdog feeling.
I always felt like the underdog. I was always small in school. I was literally, hands down, not just kind of the smallest kid in school. I was the smallest kid in school. Plus, we didn't have any money. I mean, I say that it's not like the story just for my marketing. We truly didn't have money. My mom worked 2 jobs to make $90 a week. My dad worked in his collision shop to probably make 25, 30 grand a year, worked his butt off. They were hard workers. There was no correlation between hard work and making money, though. It's smart hard work, right? But I want to tell you a story. When I was in my 20s, I became the New England championship grass dragger with a snowmobile. That sounds weird. I don't know if it's grass drags. You race on grass 500 to 700 feet, drag racing with a snowmobile. You put these big long paddles, these spikes with paddles in the track. You bolt them in. You change, you lighten the machine up, and it's really just this major, like, wow! I mean, I'd go 100 miles an hour and 500 feet. Is that crazy or what? But here's the thing. I was absolutely the underdog because I didn't have any money back then. I mean, I had some. I was working hard. This is my time in my 20s. I'm doing real estate. This is early 20s. Doing real estate, working on cars every day with my dad at the collision shop, that type of thing. But I didn't have the money that some of these people had, because when I started getting good and I started winning more and more, I was ramping up. So I would go to these meets where it would be like the New England Championship. So there would be, I parked the car, okay? No hands because I parked the car. There'd be people from all over the eastern part of the United States, and all of a sudden I'd go and there'd be Team Artie Cat and Team Polaris and Team Skidoo. Big tractor trailers. They'd take their machines off with a forklift. They'd have a crew of 10 people with all awesome shirts on. They're fine-tuned, and these snowmobiles were so loud. It was like, ring, ring. I don't know if you ever raced motorcycles or snowmobiles. It's loud, deep throttle. And I would go there with my pickup truck, with my snowmobile on the back. I had all my tools in an old milk crate, you know, like the plastic square milk crate, all my tools stacked up. And you have to have ways to lube the track. I had like a handmade way to lube the track, and I had a leaf blower that would cool down the engine because you'd race in the fall and the spring. So sometimes the snowmobiles got hot because they like to run in the cold weather, right? They're designed for snow. So why am I telling you this story? Because I was thinking about it, like, you might feel like an underdog. And what's the definition of an underdog? Maybe you don't have money to get started. Maybe no one in your family supports you because they think you're nuts that you want to do your own thing. Maybe you live in a country, a world, a town, a city where people are discouraging, or it doesn't seem like things are good. Or maybe you feel like you're an underdog because you were born during a bad time, or maybe you had some really tough things in your past. Maybe you're married to someone or dating someone who is negative and tells you what you can't do. I don't know, but we all have that little bit of underdog feeling inside, and most of the time it can squash us. It can keep us small. But I want to tell you, I teach my kids for softball and for baseball, I teach them that you win races, you win games when no one is watching. And I've been implementing in that to them because I want them to practice. Like, you don't win when you're on the pitcher's mound and you get the glory. You don't win, I've said this before, but you don't win as a rock star just when you're up there jamming to 50,000 people. You're winning when you're throwing 100 balls in the dark when no one's watching up against the fence, or you're jamming on the guitar, till late at night when no one's watching that. You win when no one's watching. Well, I won New England State Snowmobile Championship when no one was watching. You see, I was the underdog. These people I ended up racing when I got to the highest level. And I used to race, I had a Polaris 650, not that means anything to you. It was a 1989 Polaris 650 snowmobile. But I raced in the 650 class, the 700 class, and the 800 class, and I'd win all three of them. Now, I didn't have the money these other guys did. I didn't have a full-time set of mechanics. I didn't have a tractor trailer with separate engines and new clutches and all this stuff. I just had me, and a buddy would come with me. A buddy or two would come with me in a milk crate and my tools in it. But you know what I did when no one was watching? Being the underdog, I knew I didn't have the money. I couldn't beat them. I couldn't outspend them. I couldn't hire a full-time mechanic. That wasn't my life. I had worked all day with cars and real estate, and on weekends I'd go do that. But what I used to do is I'd go out in the apple orchard behind my house when no one was watching, and I perfected this. I don't want to get too technical, but I perfected the clutching because I couldn't afford to get my motors redone to get a lot more horsepower. Cars go faster with more horsepower. But I worked on the clutching, meaning how fast the snowmobile shift, how high the RPMs were when it came out. Not that that means anything to you, but what I did when no one was watching, I'd bring my milk crate because I was the underdog. It gave me an unfair advantage because I didn't want those people with more money, more, you could think about in every area of your life, right? Think about this, whatever area you're thinking about. I didn't want them because they had more money to be like, what's that guy trying? I loved going in there with my, I'd pull my snowmobile off the back of my truck and my tools were messed up and they had all these people and I'd make it to the finals and I could see them looking at me like, how'd this guy get in the finals? And then I'd kick their ass. I mean, I smoked them. I won. There was a time where I went 39 races, 39 first place in a row, week after week, because when no one was watching, I'd go out in this apple orchard, I'd mark out 500 feet, and I'd bring my buddy out there, and I'd go, run! I'd go 90 miles an hour at 500 feet, and I'd go back, and I'd time it, and I'd write it down, like, the clutching. I think I could let the RPMs go up, and I literally used to have a file. This doesn't mean anything, but think of the intricacies of this. I would have a file, and I'd file the clutching, because in snowmobiles, and God, I haven't raced a snowmobile in 25 years, but it's a centrifugal clutch is what makes it shift on its own. It's not like a manual shifter. It's not automatic like your car. It's a clutch system. So inside this clutch are weights, and as it starts going around in circle, the revolutions per minute, it throws the clutches, it throws the weights out, and it makes it shift. So I figured a way to like change the angle so they'd flip up quicker, or I'd lighten them down. I'd grind a little bit off the side, make them go quicker, and I changed the weights in the clutching. I did all this stuff that I couldn't have, because I couldn't afford the horsepower. I couldn't afford to send my engine out and spend 10 grand to make it just this pristine engine, so I messed with the clutching. Then I took gearing. So again, I'm telling you all this for a reason. I took gearing, I changed the gears. We were racing 500 feet. I'd have gears so my snowmobile would be going as fast as it possibly could at 500 feet. If we were racing 900 feet, they'd blow by me 100 miles an hour. But I got all the juice out of the 500 feet. So what's the moral of the story? I didn't have the money. I was the underdog. I didn't have what they had. But what I had was a burning desire deeper than they ever could, and that created ingenuity, right? Like, I found a way to get the snowmobile to go faster without the money. I played with the clutches. I played with the gears. What in your life can you play with to adjust the knobs? How can you adjust the gears? How can you use your passion, your desire, that underdog feeling instead of the anchor, the wind behind your sail?
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is have a crystal clear target.
What would just be the recipe or a formula, or your initial advice you would give me to having just a more fulfilled business, a more fulfilled life, a more fulfilled spirit and existence? What would be just your, I mean, there's a million things you could say, but if you could give them something to start with, what would it be?
I would say, and I might have covered some of it, is really know where you want to steer your ship. Like what happens is, I think we become somebody for our parents when we're young, and then we might become someone for a relationship we're in, and we become someone for a boss that we have, or a coworker, or a partner, or our employees, and then we become someone if you go to church on Sunday, and then you become somebody every once in a while. You sneak out to the club, and then you're someone there, and we become all these people that I think what happens is inside we knew we had this destination of what we wanted, but it gets diluted by all these things, all these realities, like we should cover the mortgage, we should have the money so the kids can go to college, or I should not go, like we have all these things and we forget who we are. What I would say is spend some time on remembering who you really are and what you really want, and start saying no to all the shit that doesn't point you in that direction. The only reason you're not going where you want to go is because you're fragmented. It's like fuzzy targets don't get hit. You need a crystal clear target, and I would say just spend time, pretend it's a year from now or 5 years from now, and you're living the life that you wanted. Maybe the life when you were younger, the life before all the clutter, and find what that is, and find a way to obsess on it, and find a way to stop doing all the other shit. I mean, I keep getting simpler and simpler. I've been dressed, I got like 20 of these t-shirts. I got hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of watch. I stopped wearing, like, I'm finding myself getting simpler and simpler because I know where I want to go, and nothing else really matters anymore.
Now I've got a really special bonus clip that I think you're gonna enjoy, but before that, it's time for the question of the day. I wanna know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video, and how are you gonna take action on it this week? When you schedule in what day, what time, and what place you're going to take action, you have a 91% chance of actually following through, versus just a 35% chance if you just got motivated but never created a specific plan. And when you share your plan publicly and have some accountability, you increase your chances even further of actually following through. So I want to know your single biggest takeaway and your plan of action this week in the comments so I can celebrate you.
Success is easier than people think. Like I think like there's a lot of days I'm like, man, when is everybody gonna figure out I'm not that smart? I'm just being honest. I literally for years I would say, people are gonna figure I'm not that smart. I'm just enthusiastic and you know, and I have the momentum, and so I would say that truth is, don't be over prepared, be overly enthusiastic and committed.
If you want to change your life for free in the next 30 days, check out my training right here below. Or if you want 10 more awesome rules from Dean Graziosi, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy them. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.